Welcome back, beautiful souls, to JoJo's Infinite Universe. Today I have a special guest, Judi Jamieson. She's here to talk to us about being a psychic and medium and how that all can help and benefit our lives. My first question is, for me, it took me a long time to accept these kinds of parts of yourself, being in the normal world, if you will. When you say the word psychic, medium, witch, all these things, which in my opinion are mostly connected.
Right, they are. Yeah.
Everybody is kind of a little bit of all of these things. It took me a long time to accept those parts of me. When did you come out of the broom closet, if you will?
Um, well, actually put myself out there as a business open to the world. It was actually a couple girlfriends of mine kept telling me, because I had I've been in business for 17, 18 years now, but I didn't start out doing the intuitive and psychic stuff. I would sell my crafts, things I
Mm-hmm.
used to enjoy making. And a couple girlfriends of mine kept telling me, like, you're in the wrong business. Like, you really need to be sharing your gifts and doing readings and helping people. And I'm like, yeah, no, no. I have no idea to be made fun of. My family does not believe in this kind of stuff. I was just too scared of what people were going to say, scared of what family members would think. Um, and I don't know, just one day, can I just be myself or do I have to filter?
100, no filters.
One day something came over me and I was just like, you know what, just fuck it. I'm just going to do it. I got to do it. Just do it. Um, and yeah. I started out just doing readings for people. I had an Etsy site. Um, and I would sell, face to face readings, or what I would call blind readings, where I couldn't see the person, they couldn't see me. They would just tell me what it is that they wanted a reading on. And I would record myself and then email them their reading. And then a girlfriend of mine kind of nudged me. She's like, you need to get on Facebook and, start doing readings there to build your audience,
Mm-hmm.
build your credibility, get people to get to know your vibe and all that. So I started doing Facebook lives, just doing readings for as a donation based thing. That was it. I was free readings. But it kind of got to the point where there was so many people who on their live, and I was like, I can't. There's like 50 people here. I can't do this. So I would tell people it is free. I'm just going to randomly select names. But the only way to guarantee you're going to get a reading is, here's my PayPal link. Send in a donation. Doesn't matter if it's $1, $5, whatever. There's no judgment whatsoever. And that's just how I started, and through that it just evolved into teaching.
When did you first experience or I guess what was your first experience that got you into this world? Like for me, I kind of got intrigued when I was a child, when I was like a teenager. My mom actually brought me in and we did our first seance, like and, when I was like 6, or I think I was like 13 at the time. But it's still like I was dabbled in it for a while. Then you become an adult, and then you grow up, if you will, and it takes a little bit to reconnect to it. When did you first get introduced to the mystical world?
You know what? I was like 11 years old. Um, I grew up in a household with a single mom who worked the night shift. And there is no God. There is no life after death. Anybody who plays with crystals or reads their fortunes or any of that, they're weird. And I always thought, well, I guess I'm weird because I kind of like that stuff. And one day, my mom's boyfriend sat me down and told me, my dad lived in California. I was in Philadelphia. He was in San Diego. Wasn't in my life at all. I didn't know why or what the story was. But one day they sat me down and told me your dad is gay and he's dying of AIDS and
Mm.
he wants to get to know you before he dies. So like, what? So got on a plane, 10 years old, went to San Diego, and the moment that I walked into my dad's home, crystals were everywhere, Zen music was there. It was a whole new world and it felt like home. It was so peaceful, so relaxing. So obviously he was very much into the metaphysical type stuff. Whole new world to me.
Mhm.
And he would tell me how he leaves his body at night and travels the world. And I was like, this guy's on some really good pain medication. He's talking nuts, right? I was little. I didn't know. So a little bit of time went by. He died, and fast forward and I was always intrigued. I'd watch all the medium shows and read
Mhm.
the horoscope and, play with my cards and whatnot. But I really didn't take it really it was more for like entertainment. I was just drawn to it. I didn't know what I was doing with it. I didn't know how it worked, any of that stuff. But when I was 17 in high school, I had an unplanned pregnancy. And my dad was the most loving person I've ever met in my life. And I so desperately wanted to connect with him to get his insight. Like, what do I do? I don't, I'm a little girl in a big girl situation. I don't know what to do. So I learned how to read tarot as a way to connect with him. Um, and it just like all kinds of like weird, odd, unexplainable things started happening the more I dove into things. Um, but it was really just that wanting to connect with my dad and figure out a way how to connect with him. And then like later in life, like I would see things while I was wide awake. I would have premonitions, like all kinds of like Hollywood stuff was happening. And that's when I realized like, holy cow, like this stuff really is real. It's not
Mm.
just entertainment. Like things are really happening. And I went and got help. Someone who obviously knew what they were doing, um, and how to work with it, how to understand it all the weird stuff that was going on. Yeah, I can tell you all kinds of crazy stories. Um, but yeah, the first person that I went to when I was experiencing the odd, unexplainable things, the dreams, the premonitions, seeing ghosts, all that. Um, at the time, I was a born again Baptist, and like this woo woo stuff is a big no no,
Mhm.
no
Mhm.
no.
I was Catholic, so yeah.
My marriage fell apart and I was looking for something. I didn't know what I was looking for. Something up there, whatever it was. And I found myself in church, and it worked for a little while. It gave me some peace. Um, but I went to my pastor and I told him, like I'm seeing ghosts when I'm awake. I go to sleep and I have these dreams, and then like a week later, the dream plays out to the T. Like I don't know what is going on. And he was the only spiritual, although now I know that's not spiritual. That's
Mhm.
religion. Religion and spirituality are not the same. Good lesson learned.
Mhm.
But he told me that my gifts were not of God, and that I needed an exorcism. Something was wrong with me.
Aw.
So my naive person self took that on as if it was a fact, and then started experiencing like really scary Hollywood stuff. But it was because I didn't know then, but now I know I was feeding into the lies, the misconceptions, the fears that
The fear-based.
I was feeding into someone who had no idea what they were talking about. Not a clue. He never experienced he was just preaching to me what someone told him.
Mhm.
No idea what he was talking about. And then a girlfriend of mine told me, you know what, you need to go see a medium. You need to go talk to somebody who, like, this is what they do for a living. They
Mhm.
got a lot of experience, a lot of years under their belt. You need to go talk to somebody. And I'm like, yeah, I do. Because I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to control it. I don't know what it means. I have no idea. So I did. I went and saw a local medium, and she filled me in on a lot of things that were going on and gave me some tips and some different things to really hone in on it and strengthen it. Um, and then just through the years, certain things happen. trauma. A lot of what I work with is empaths who feel like their gift is more of a curse than a blessing. They're being taken advantage of, they're absorbing negative energy, they're being
Mm-hmm.
affected by things, and like I don't it's like I don't want to be an empath no more. So through trauma and being at the rock bottom is when I started taking my relationship with my guides, my spirit guides, seriously, and working with them and talking to them every day and just following their guidance, because obviously everything I was doing wasn't working. It was the same thing over and over and over. Like, what the hell is going on here? What's wrong with me? Um, but yeah, just like
I've,
everybody else experiencing things,
mm-hmm.
and then you get to a certain point where it's like, okay, maybe there's something here. How can I help people? What can I do? And I just put myself out there, faced the fear, and did it anyway.
um, yeah, it totally makes sense. I've had very similar, like a similar structure as well. You know, you kind of start with the church because it's the acceptable way of worship, right?
Mhm.
And then you find out that they're not exactly your beliefs don't line up.
Yeah,
And then you're still looking because you know that there's something more. Um, and it's that seeking that I think sometimes puts us into some of these positions, like these trauma situations, because I don't know what you think, but do you feel that traumas and even self-love, like sadly enough those two things, to my in my opinion, go together. Like you need to have the self-love with the trauma. Do you think that those things actually increase people's gifts or gives them access to more than what they might have had prior?
I think going through trauma, and I'll speak from like my own personal experience, and then like the thousands of people that I've worked with, it's all pretty much the same similar story. You go through some kind of trauma, some horrific situation, and you're at your rock bottom where you're questioning, who am I? Why am I here? There has to be more to life than this crap that I have been dealt. And then you go on that journey, and the journey's kind of split for different people. Um, but yeah, I mean, like with me and my personality, if I'm going into something, I'm going into it as far and as deep as I can take it and push it, just to see. It's like a challenge to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? See what I can do, what I can achieve. How do I apply this stuff into my life? How do I use it as part of my normal daily life? How can it enhance my life? How can it help other people's lives? So I think what I've kind of discovered is that like I've realized that like with church, because every church and every religion tells you something different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've kind of realized that religion was more about worshiping someone or something, and with the spirituality, I feel like it's more of learning how to connect with who you are as a soul, not
Taking back that power.
yeah, not what someone told you to be, who you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to act, how you're supposed to dress, it's all, I call it programming.
Mm-hmm.
So like a lot of what I do and what I did um was eradicating all of that programming. All everything that you absorbed from outside people, places, people, school, parents, society, your religion, gut job it all out of your system, and then start connecting with your soul. And then that's where you find who you are, why you're here, your path, your purpose,
Mm-hmm.
and you get that fulfillment that you were looking for from the outside world, that the outside world isn't going to give it to you. You know what
Correct.
I mean? It's a unique thing for each person.
And
Does
I
that?
think, yeah, and I think, and I've looked at the different religions. They all basically have the same stories, the same underlying concepts. But it seems like humans have taken that information and used it to empower some and disempower others.
Yes, I
Um,
wholeheartedly agree.
so I think religion is good for people that need some guidance on their journey. before they're ready to fully accept themselves. I don't want to ever tell people that religion's bad. Like I think it's a good stepping stone. But I
Mm-hmm.
think everyone has to use their own inner voice or inner self to really decipher through the information to make what they feel works for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my old pastor used to call the Bible basic instructions before leaving Earth. Just a guideline on how to be a good person. But then, of course, you got other people, trying to tell you, like, no, 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 tell you how to be a good person or what you should do. Like that, just worry about your own stuff. Okay, if he's not judging me, who are you to judge me? Right? This is between me and him. You stay between you and you. I'll stay between me and him.
Yeah.
But I used to tell people it's like a marriage. Every marriage is unique. Every marriage is different. What works for one couple is not going to work for another. So the whole spiritual aspect is really diving into your unique personal marriage or magic, we'll say.
Agreed. Agreed. Um, Now, and I reference a lot of these questions to myself because again, I don't have other people's information to base on, but like my gifts were hard to understand or interpret until I met my twin flame. I feel like many of them could have been clouded by thoughts that the or other programming, if you will. What would you recommend for someone to help connect better with their gifts? Um,
One of the big things, like a lot of the online courses and the trainings that I do, you really have to befriend and get to know your own ego, your own, because a lot of people come to me and say, how do I know it's really like spirit communicating or if it's just my thoughts? Or that's the biggest thing that I
mhm,
get. You have to get to know your ego. You're in, and a lot of people think like when you say ego, it's like narcissism. Like I'm great, my shit don't stink. No, no, no. It's the underinflated. I'm not good enough, right? Oh, I'm too old. I'm stupid. I don't have enough this. It's the way that we shit talk
mhm,
ourselves. So when you get really good at immediately identifying when your own ego pops up and what it says to you, like you got to know, oh, okay, that's my ego. That's not my higher self. That's not my intuition, right? Being able to take note all throughout the day how often your ego pops up and takes the steering wheel of it, because a lot of people make their choices and their decisions based on their ego
mhm.
through fears or their desires, and then they lie to themselves, right? But really getting to know your ego, ultimately, it's there to protect you, but it's not protecting you in a healthy way. It's like that overbearing mom who's so afraid of the outside world that she
Mhm,
won't let her child do anything, won't let her child do, out of fear they're going to get hurt, fear they're going to make made
mhm,
fun of, fear of the, and then eventually the child gets to a point where it's like the mom, like, you didn't prep them or help them, you did nothing but hurt them going forward. So just really, really, really befriending your ego. Why is it there? Why are you here? What are you trying to protect me from? What are you afraid of? What, you know what I mean? And really sitting with that. And then from there um you get to, like, I don't want to say befriend it, but it softens it so it's not
mhm.
so loud,
Cloud.
you know?
Mhm,
Um and then from there that helps it, like the ego kind of moves aside a little bit, and you're now able to open up more to receive the actual divine intelligence or messages or whatever it is that you want to refer to it as. But really getting familiar with your own ego, what the stuff is that you absorbed from other people, based on how you were raised, all the programming,
That's what I say.
everything.
It's like an old computer that hasn't been, updated and cleaned out. All those old programmings from friends and
Yeah,
family, and
yeah.
that they wanted to do was protect you,
Hmm.
but those protections have now stopped you
They've
from
hindered
growing.
you. Yep, yep, yep. But yeah, really getting comfortable with that and sitting with it, getting familiar with it, what it is made up of, why it is there, what it's afraid of, uh, you know, and From there, when you start clearing that out, I refer to it as like a gut job, complete and total freaking gut job. Just let the house burn down, right? Like not literally, but a lot of people like if they're into tarot cards, you get the tower card, and that's like
Mm-hmm.
all hell in a handbasket. It's gone. Everything just
Mm-hmm.
got washed out to sea and destroyed. I look at it like, okay, this is now your time to rebuild,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is your time to create, where you call the shots and you build the foundation, not other people. And
Okay.
starting to connect with that part of yourself, that version of yourself, which I call it your higher self. It's
Mm-hmm.
the future you. It is. It's the next level version of you.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Now, for me, I've been connected to my spirit guides. I talk to them all the time. However, no matter how much I ask them during meditation and things like that, they don't like to identify themselves or break out into separate entities. It's always just like a collective. Have you ever noticed that before, or is there any other tips that you could give to people who are trying to connect with their guides in a more personalized way?
Hmm. Yes. I do have a specific training specifically on channeling and communicating with your spirit guides. One of the first things that we go through in that training is a lot of people get hung up on who is it? Who is it and what is their name? Okay. What you want to do is identify, okay, what area of, because when you think about like your guides, right? The way I paint it is like it's a college. And within that college, there's all different kinds of teachers or professors that have different skill sets. So, to give you an example, say you're in a place of, emotional turmoil because you just lost your spouse. Okay. So, I would assign you want to work with a guide who specializes in love and relationships versus a guide who specializes in finances or money, right? Or, you know what I mean? So I always tell people, based on why you want to connect with them, you pick. It's like you have your phone is full of phone numbers with all different friends, and each friend has a different something special about them. Oh, I'm going through this right now. Betty. Betty's the perfect person who's it's like you want to approach working with your guides like that. You assign what guide you want to connect with, and then go through the process of clearing out your energy. And it's not a like a meditation where you have to stop. Like you can connect with your guides while you're driving.
Hmm.
um, Clearing out, your energy, you getting out of your own way and raising your energy body to like a higher energetic plane a little bit, and inviting them in and channeling them in, and then from there you're establishing the communication.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes. So it doesn't really matter. Like, some people are very fixated on, I want to know who they are and I want to know where they came from and I want to know all this personal information about them. But it's not as important of who they are as in the message and how you're communicating, is what
Right.
I'm gathering.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can well, for what a lot of people are when they're asking who are they and the details about them, it's they're asking the wrong questions. Who, like, when you think of a lot of people, when you think of like a guide, I always tell people it is anyone, any energy, right, who resides in the light. Because when you're doing your spiritual stuff, you only want to work with the light, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus like a Ouija board where you're opening the door to anything and everyone. You don't play that game. So, who resides in the light? People, entities, energy that has your best interest at heart. It could be your crossed over loved ones. It could be past life versions of you. It could be, the guides that were with you from the day that you were born. It could be angels, right? If you're into angels, right? So any energy that is in the light. From there, you pick and choose who it is that you want to talk to. So, for example, say you're going through something horrific and crappy, and you're into angels, Archangel Michael. That's what he's there for. right? If you don't want to lollygag anymore with the emotions and the hearts and the wishy-washy and the up and down, Archangel Michael, that's his energy. That's what who I want to work with. That's the man for the job, right? Or maybe you're going in a different avenue with something else, right? Maybe it's your mother-in-law. When she was alive, man, that woman, she really kicked my ass when I didn't have the energy to kick my ass. I want to connect with her because I need her to kick my ass right now and motivate me into a certain thing, right? So it kind of open your mind a little bit as to who it is that you want to connect to and why. Why? That is your huge thing. Why? For what end purpose? That's what's going to give you the biggest impact.
Agreed. Yeah, I do notice that there are times where I'm just, I don't really have a why, and it's not nearly as strong of a connection or information. But when I'm in a session with a client of mine, it's a much, much, much stronger connection. It's like a totally different experience.
Yeah.
Um, So I talk in previous episodes about my experience after losing my husband, but there's one thing I really haven't mentioned, and I kind of wanted to get your opinion of this event. So right before my husband came to me in the vision where he said he was coming back, I had this real crazy experience where I was walking and I was in my house, and then all of a sudden, like I was stopped, and it felt like my brain was literally split in two. Like it felt like everything that was connecting the left and the left and the right side of my brain was stripped out, that all my karma was completely released and it was gone. All my beliefs kind of changed in that moment, and I saw that the world wasn't what I thought it was. I was kind of pushed into an awakening, but at the same moment was flooded with this love energy that was so intense. Um, and then I felt like me and his soul merged together. This is the weirdest thing I've ever experienced. And then um and I felt no fear. It was like the first time in my entire life I never feared anything. I felt so strong. Like this was only like 2 days after he passed. Like I should be in a corner crying and weeping, and I have this really crazy spiritual experience. Have you ever heard of something like this? Like the whole merging of soul feeling was like I even told my friend, I'm like, I feel like we're together. Like I feel like feel so strong. And I couldn't
Right.
understand it at all.
Yeah. No, you just basically got an energetic cord cutting to the old that would have been tying you to the old
Mm-hmm.
to release it so you can now connect with the new instead of staying in like the that relationship is over. It's done. It was
Mm-hmm.
not over. It's physically what you had is now different. It changed. And a
Yes.
lot of people stay clung to what was then.
Mm-hmm.
What you got was, you know, it's like the equivalent of Archangel Michael coming in for you on your behalf based on someone else on the other
Mm-hmm.
side, giving a nudge, right? Let's continue this at a different level. So it's splitting the past and what was then to allow for the new to merge and come together. That's a really beautiful thing.
Yeah, it took me off
You know
guard,
how
and it
many
took me time
people
to.
like wish for that? Wish
I
for it, beg for it,
I know
crave
it.
it.
And then once you get it and know it's possible, then you're like, oh, I want to experience that again. How do I experience that again? And it's never ever exact. Like it's hard. Like it never happens. I don't want to say it never happens again. I don't know if it'll ever happen again, but it's not to the same experience. Like it was like a. It's not something that can be recreated.
Mhm, mhm.
um, it was like my mini near death experience, but I didn't have to die. Um, so have you so when you have experienced losing a loved one, knowing, that you're more connected with your gifts than most. Um, do you experience it differently than others?
Well, it's not like everybody has their own unique thing. There are certain common things that come into place. Um, but even like with certain situations, it's all different, right? So, like to give you an example, um, with my brother, my younger brother, before he died, um, I didn't know he was gonna die, but for like 2 weeks straight, nonstop, I kept hearing and getting the nudge, invite him over for dinner, because we didn't. He had a heroin addiction, off and on for a long time. And one year he went to jail, and while he was in jail, I moved. And I told my family, absolutely under no circumstances, do not tell him where I live, because I am not going through that whole locking the doors again. And no, I love him. He stays at a safe distance. I'll still see him and talk to him, but he by no means is allowed to know where I live. And I just kept getting this: invite him over, invite your brother over. Like the addict is gone. He's been clean a while. He's reached beyond that point where he would normally relapse. Invite him over for dinner. And I did. I listened to it. It just kept getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Like, and I invited him over, and like 3 days later, he died. And I thought to myself, like, holy cow, I am so grateful I listened to that. Because if I didn't, I don't think I'd be able to forgive myself for ignoring that.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the most beautiful dinner. We laughed. I had my brother. Addict was gone. This was my brother. And we had a great time. Um, with another person, my mother-in-law, um, I would feel like see shadows around her. And normally that might freak people out. If you don't know what the shadow is, if you don't know, if you don't have answers, sometimes people get freaked out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what I was getting was she was sick. There was something wrong with her. And I kept seeing shadows around her. I didn't know who the shadows were. I didn't dive into having a conversation with them. I didn't care. The shadows they were there. I'm not going there, whatever it was. Um, and then one day she came to me and told me she keeps seeing her deceased ex-husband, who she absolutely hated. This man used to beat her, drunk, beat her, beat the kids, horrible man. And she kept telling me, she's like, I keep seeing him in the hallway. I'm like, oh, that's okay. That's the shadow. It's him, you know? Um, and it just, a couple days later, she died. I didn't get the feeling, just, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's kind of, it's not a mold. This is going to happen when it's unique to each person. It's unique to who you're connected to. It's a different experience. Um, I think I got sidetracked a little bit. What was your original question?
Do you experience losing a loved one differently than most people do?
Well, now I don't grieve like I would have, if that's what you mean. Like when
Mm-hmm.
someone goes, like I'm like, okay, good. This is a happy thing.
Yes.
They're back home. There's no pain. They could now offer assistance in a new way
Mm-hmm.
that they weren't able to when they were alive. You know what I mean? So like I don't look at it from a space of like I lost them. They're not here. Like yeah, there's moments like with my dad. I wish I could like have him right here in front of me, but like when you energetically tune into it, they're right
They're
there.
right there.
They're
Mm-hmm.
right there. Like I remember when I first started connecting with my dad, I just wanted a hug. That's all I wanted. Just hug me. And I went into this one meditation and I felt guided to hug myself. And I tuned into him. I tuned into his energy. I raised my vibration by getting happy, remembering happy things and the love, and instead of the negative, right? All the happy, wonderful things, the blessings that he gave me, the things that he taught me. Um, and I immediately felt like this euphoric, overwhelming, loving sensation. So that was a hug. It just wasn't the kind of hug that we were used to. It's now a
Wasn't
new hug.
physical. It
Right.
was an energetic hug.
It's an
Mm-hmm.
energetic hug. It was different.
Mm-hmm.
So being open to expect understanding, you can still continue that relationship. It's just going to be a little bit different. It's going to be that's all, but you can still continue it. It's
Mm-hmm.
just it's going to be have some different tweaks with them. That's all.
It's like just learning a new relationship and how you communicate and how things work.
Yeah.
It's very different. I know when I had lost Jack, um, I was weirdly handling it all better than I ever expected I was going to. But again, I was having these crazy visions even before he died. Like when I first met him, like a couple months after I moved in, this vision came to me and said, "You're not going to have long with him. Are you going to be okay? Because you're going to have to love him very deeply and lose him." And the at the time he was strong. He wasn't sick at all. Like he was older than me, but I was like, all right, well, maybe it's just because he's older than me. And I was like, 1 year, 20 years, it wouldn't have mattered. No time would have been enough. And I just said, I was going to give it all. If whatever I could, I would give.
Hmm.
Which I'm so thankful for that vision because it made me act with no regrets. Like I didn't hold back my love for him at all. Because I didn't know. Every day I treated like our last.
Yeah.
So that small little voice that most people will ignore. Like I'm like trying to explain to people, you need to listen to those voices, especially the ones that are whispering, that aren't negative per se, like they're not directly negative towards you. Those are like God whispers. He does not yell.
Hmm.
But pay attention and open your heart to it, because you don't want to miss out. Like if I would have closed my heart off and never allowed all of these blessings to come into my life, oh, what a disgrace and dishonor,
Right.
you know? Like I just wish people would not be so worried about what other people think too. Um so uh we've talked about, all of this lovely mystical stuff. I find it's so much fun. It's so fun. It's
Hmm.
um what is the most, well, maybe not the most, because I'm sure you've experienced lots of different things, but what's a extreme supernatural story that you have that you can share with the audience? I always
The
like a good
day
story.
there's a lot,
I
but
figured.
the day I found out I could scream and scream and scream like nobody's business. Um, there was this one house that I bought, and I remember we walked through it before settlement, and I kind of felt like something kind of feels a little off in here. I didn't know what it was, didn't put much into it, and then made settlement and moved into the house. And one night I was upstairs in the bedroom, and I saw a glowing white man come in the door. It was like a side profile, and he was just going. He didn't have legs. It was like he was on train tracks, just going
Hmm.
real slow. And I was like, okay, that was cool. All right, it was a little weird, but he was over there. He was on the other side of the room. Okay, I don't know what's going on, but he's over there. Nothing scary. It's just that's not something you see every day. And then right behind it was this you know how like cigarette smoke, it stays in a ball, it stays together, but it still just kind of swishes and moves
Mm-hmm.
with the air. There was this glowing white, I'll refer to it as a mist or cigarette smoke. It was a ball, right? Not like a circle, but it was like this open. It didn't have edges to it. And it came in right behind the ghost. I was awake, fully awake, right? Laying in bed. Like I don't even
And
know what
it's totally in your visual, not in your mind's eye. You're actually seeing this go
Hollywood
through the
stuff.
room. All right.
Hollywood stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I see this light come in the same way in the door, the same way the ghost man did. And this light, again, it was bright, bright white light. It stopped at the foot of my bed, and it started making its way up to me. and it it changed into a hand, and that is when I lost my shit. Like I just started, and it wasn't a scary. It was a freaking Mickey Mouse, freaking pure Mickey Mouse. It turned into a hand, and by the time it got to like my knees or like my hips, I started screaming and losing my freaking marbles. Um, and that was it. Poof! It was gone. It was gone. And my husband started like, "Wake up, wake up, wake up! You're having a bad dream." And I'm like, "I don't know what the hell am I supposed to say to him. He's gonna think I'm crazy." I'm like, "Yeah, it was just a bad dream." So of course, the whole rest of the night, the covers are like, I couldn't go to sleep. There was no way. Um, that was the first encounter, and then like the next night, my my husband told me. My husband doesn't believe in any of this stuff, and we were downstairs having our coffee and tea, and he was like, I had a dream last night. He's like, "I saw a ghost." I'm like, "Oh, what did it look like?" And he told me, and I'm like, I never told him what I saw. He just thought I had a bad dream. That was the end of the conversation. He described to me exactly what I saw. He saw the man. Well, here, after doing some research, it turns out the previous owner, the daughter's name, there was a mother and daughter that lived in the house. It was in the mother's name, but the daughter's name was Judi, and her boyfriend died in the house, and our bedroom was their bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
So his energy was still lingering in the house, which again opened up a, oh, what the hell is this? What is happening? I need answers. I don't know what to do with this. And I went and I saw that the medium woman who, she told me, she's like, "Look, she's like, if seeing them freaks, it's funny. People always say, I want to see it. I want to see it. I want to see it. And then if you see something, even if it's not scary, it does scare the shit out of you, especially when it's at nighttime."
It's always at nighttime.
It's at nighttime. But she told me, she's like, "Look," she told me how to, clear out my house a little bit. And I told her, like, I'm cool with sharing space as long as it's good energy.
Mm-hmm.
Good energy. Oh, let's have a party. I don't. This was your house, your property before it was mine. I'm not interested in kicking you out. Let's have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me, she's like, "If you're not comfortable seeing them, tell them that. Tell them. Just look. I don't mind you being here, but please don't show yourselves to me no more. It's freaking me out." So I said it out loud one night when I was. Of course, I'm not going to say that out loud with my family around me. They're going to think I'm nuts. I said it when I was alone. And later that night, I had a dream, and I'll call it a vision, because dreams you forget. When you experience something in dream state that you remember it to the T, that is a visit. I had this visit where I was in the library, and this balloon was coming towards me. And when the balloon got in front of me, it popped, and I inhaled whatever was in the balloon. I woke up out of my dream state in a big inhale. And then going forward, all kinds of other things started happening and whatnot. And I went back to the medium, like, this is what happened. What happened? What was it? What do I do? And she's like, they gave you a gift. If you're scared to see them and have them talk to you that way, they gave you a gift in a balloon form that's not scary, in a library with all the knowledge that you would need, that you would want, whatever it is, and you inhaled it. You took it on, right, in a non-threatening, non-scary way. Okay, what do I do now? What am I supposed to do now? I don't know. But yeah, that was the most memorable. I can tell you stories about seeing an ET. I could tell you some of the Hollywood paranormal stuff. That all happened because I told you I went to see my pastor.
Mm-hmm.
He told me my gifts were not of God. I needed an exorcism.
Mm-hmm.
When I took that on, I was feeding into the fear, feeding into the Hollywood movies, and started attracting to me things to be scared of.
Yeah, I feel that fear, it definitely has a huge impact. And when you say about the visionary stuff, I would agree with you. Like I think a majority of people block, like I think I've blocked a lot of the visual, like in my mind is one thing, in your mind it's kind of like a safe space, but when you see it in the real physical realm, like I woke up or I was walking in the house one night and I saw a shadow figure, like you were talking about, scream, like scared the freaking crap out of me. Like I don't, I and I'm like, this is what I've been asking for, but yet people are freaking like, it's scary as hell when you actually see it, physically see it.
Yeah.
um and I've asked tons of people, like, how do you not get scared? Like like they,
Practice.
oh, but it's like, even
Practice.
if it was a real person, you'd be scared because it's popping out of nowhere. Like you're not expecting it. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
a, but I don't want to scare them away. But yet I can't help but not get scared.
Just practice being in the situation and getting used to it, and it becomes the norm. Um,
Agreed.
but I will tell you though, with the like the scary stuff, um, the second like when I went and talked to the medium woman, she was like schooling me and coaching me. She was like, think of like that's your home. You control who comes in the door and who doesn't, right? She's like, if there's energy and things in your home there that you don't want there, she's like, you have to claim ownership and like wholeheartedly with every ounce of your being feel it. And when I and tell them, like your words is a spell, it's a command, right? So I did all the woo woo stuff. I got the sea salt, I got the sage, I got the holy water. I did all that around my house just to make me feel a little better. But when I was done, I stated anything that is not good, wholehearted, loving light and energy. Like your ass is fucking grass and you are banished out of my house forever. Bitch, this is my house. I own it. I call the shots. Get the fuck out of here. And I meant every word I said. Like there was no fear. It was like I am standing in my power in my house. These are my rules. It's time to go. And then like all the scary Hollywood paranormal stuff, done, gone. I was like, holy shit! Like I meant it. I felt it. I spoke it. I owned it. I owned every ounce of it. And that's when I realized, like, I was feeding into it, and through the law of attraction, adding more to it. But the second I stood in, I am the head honcho, not you. This is my house, not yours. I call the shots, not you. And I felt my energy rise and my light expand, and that's it. It was gone. No more. So ever since then, I don't feed into any of the negativity. What I do is I inject more empowering, more confidence, more love and light and energy to go through and just kind of radiate and push out any negative anything. And then, like I said, ever since then, it was like when you first start dabbling in this kind of stuff, you kind of go down rabbit holes, and some people go down rabbit holes that are not good rabbit holes, like the whole Ouija board thing. You don't know what you're opening up. You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these people who do like the paranormal ghost hunter stuff, they're just looking for a quick thrill. You don't know what you're running after, right? Just make sure it's
I have a
your
friend of
intention.
mine who's friends in the paranormal world, and she went on a hunt, if you will, with them,
Hmm.
and literally the ghost tripped her, and she busted up her ankle on the stair. Like they like literally pulled her, and
Right.
she felt, yeah. So yeah, you gotta always be careful with what you're messing with.
Well, I
Uh,
tell people, like in a lot of the classes that I have, working with the spirit world is really not that different than working with people in the physical world. In the physical world, there's assholes, there's negative Nancy's, there's vampires. Do you interact with them? No. Can you catch on and feel and vibe? Oh, this person's energy isn't good, or you don't entertain them. That's it.
Mhm,
No, it's the same concept,
mhm.
right? Same exact concept. If I always tell people, be more scared of the people that are in your physical world than the ones on the energy side. You know,
Oh,
you got your
mhm.
your rapists, your murderers, your sex traffickers, your narcissists, psychopaths. So, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of bad people that we share space with that have the same meat suit on that we do. Yeah. So, when you're doing your spiritual stuff and connecting with your higher self or your crossed over loved ones, as long as you're coming from a place of love and light and only wanting to connect with love and light, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, I believe it's all about intentions. It really all it comes down to, I think. So if we'll just round it up, if someone was just starting out exploring their gifts, is there any kind of exercises or places that they should go for more information, or how would they start their journey in discovering what their gifts are and how to utilize them?
So, an easy thing to discover what your gifts are, because a lot of people say, like, oh, I want to open my third eye. Well, maybe their third eye isn't their most dominant gift. Maybe it's hearing. You should be listening when you're forcing yourself to, your ego is telling you you want to do this, right? So, pay attention to how your intuitive things come in or how your signs and synchronicities show up. If it comes in as like a knowing, right? Does it come in as like you hear something through a song lyric? Does it come in through a dream, right? So, like, when you talk about like your clairs, it's really just your, well, there's more than five. I'll say your five physical senses, but heightened on another level of sensitivity, right? Just pay attention to how that is. Or the other thing, if you're someone who's a very DIY crafty person, or you could look at that shithole house and see the beauty in it by fixing it up, your most dominant gift would be your third eye. You're visually, your things are visually pleasing to you. You can see the bigger picture. If you're a musician, obviously, you're very deeply connected to music. You like music. It would be hearing, right? So kind of just take note as to how different things come in for you. That's what your most dominant gift is. For empaths, it's always the feelings, right? From there, now you know what skill set to focus on developing and strengthening, and the various different levels that you can take it to. But on my Facebook page, my Instagram page, there's like a bazillion free videos, content, all. I think I post 2 to 3 times a day, free content, all different kinds of stuff. But yeah, that's it. There's tons and tons and tons of videos on there. And I have every video with a title on it, so you know exactly what the video is about. So you can decide whether or not you want to watch it.
Yeah, your Instagram is really easy to follow. It's got some really good information. The way you've organized your stuff is really, like, it's very impressive. So I want to thank you for coming on the show. Can you tell everyone how to find you?
Yeah, if you just type in Judi the Psychic, and it's Judi with an I, or type in my name, Judi Jamieson, Jamieson. Any one of those two things will get you to somewhere, my website, my social media, something, YouTube, something like that. I got content all over the internet. But yeah, if you type in either one of those two, you'll find me.
Great. I want to thank you all, beautiful souls, for coming and joining us. I hope this information has helped you on your journey. Please like, subscribe, share so other people can get this message that they need. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so that you don't miss out on an episode. Next week, we'll have another surprise guest. Stay tuned and have a magical week. Love infinitely, my friends. Thank you so much for watching. If this week's message spoke to you, please share it so that it can help someone else too. If you need advice or are interested in being part of the show, you can DM me on Instagram or email me at jojosinfiniteuniverse@gmail.com. Until next time, love infinitely, my friends.